All right, the recording's in progress. The AI companion's in progress. We're going to start on page 108 and just read a paragraph there, kind of get some context for continuing type 7. Before we jump into that, anything from last week? Any old business? Incomplete concepts? Things not fully explained? News, weather, and sports. All right. So let's back up. Remembering that we're on type 7. Type 7, these are the epicures, the hedonists, right? They are mental types and they are yang, unbalanced toward yang. We're
Mhm.
going to talk about, get into the actual pivot of the Tao tonight. Um, Actually, a point of avoidance, virtue, and vice, and then the pivot of the Tao. And for right now, the holy ideas work, plan, and wisdom. So let's just read that first paragraph or part of it anyway. Ennea type 7, a mental type, is unbalanced toward yang energy. Three names are traditionally associated with its holy idea. The first is holy work. The meaning here is not work as in labor, though, but work as in the phrase a work of art. So it's about something that is produced, an artistic expression. The second term, holy plan, emphasizes the fact that this work of art is intelligent rather than machine-like. All right, so we're talking about some sort of intelligent design, something that comes from, a soul, let's say, the heart of an artist, rather than something that is just being machine produced. This does not mean plan in the sense of predetermined plot, however. As any artist will tell you, a masterpiece does not begin with a blueprint fully formed in the artist's mind. I once asked a master weaver, when you begin a piece, where is the design? In your head or on the loom? He answered, when I start, I have the seed of an idea, but the loom and I have to solve its working out between us. So this is plan as in a living process, something that is experienced, something that the 7 is the witness to the unfolding, if you will. Okay. So it's that sense in terms of plan. Not that it's all worked out in the mind beforehand and then slavishly followed. This is something that you participate in the unfolding of. Um, One more line. Taken together, these two holy ideas refer to an awareness of how life brilliantly creates beautiful patterns. All right. Now look at the next page. What happens when it all goes pear-shaped for the infant 7, right? The initial wounding. More than any other type, 7s are alive to the mysterious unfolding of the timeless Tao, manifesting as physical world developing in time. What we were just talking about, the unfolding. As newborns, they first lived in real time. That is, they abided in presence to the flow of being, but their environment couldn't hold them there. No matter how attentive and caring their parents were, their infant souls experienced moments of disorganization. To use the phrase of David Winnicott, a British psychoanalyst who helped pioneer the modern study of infancy, they underwent a series of annihilations. Their parents could not help them regain a sense of ongoingness within vital energy as the parents had lost their own ability to abide within it. Eventually, young 7s lost awareness of Yang's natural rhythms. The resulting sense of deorientation became the knothole around which their personality crystallized. Okay? So moving from there, let's move down to the point of avoidance. This will be new material starting for today. The point of avoidance, their virtue and vice. So the spiritual path for 7s calls for the virtue of constancy. Ikazo defines it as the state of being firmly grounded in the moment, taking in no more and no less than needed, expending precisely as much energy as necessary. So this is that idea that we've been developing as the moment is enough, kind of moving it over and over again. Can the moment just be enough? We're not sitting here pining for what's not here. We're not trying to add something. We're not trying to take anything away. It's just enough, right? Constancy, the state of being firmly grounded in the moment, taking in no more and no less than is needed, expending precisely as much energy as is necessary. Its cultivation requires that sevens voluntarily stay present to pleasure and pain, excitement and boredom, growth and decay. And this is difficult, given that their point of avoidance is precisely pain and boredom. Just like fours, who can easily believe that ordinary living is a bad trade-off for giving up envy, sevens initially feel that constancy is a dreary substitute for gluttony. They feel like heavy smokers who have been told to quit or die. Immediately they want to reply, but then there's no point to living. Last night in our conversations, we were talking about meaning. And when you think about it, what's going on here? It's about reclaiming meaning, isn't it?
Mhm.
I mean, here's a seven who had all meaning as an infant. Then that link was broken. And so now they're trying to reclaim that meaning. They're trying to reclaim that feeling of connection, you know, through all the machinations that they do, trying to stay ahead of the thing, trying to stay busy, trying to find the next and the next and the next and the next. And this isn't limited to sevens. We all do this.
Mhm.
Now they're being told, oh, well, now you need to be able to move into life as life presents on a daily basis, not just the peak experiences that you are so trying to plan and create, but also all that stuff that seems like dreary boredom in between. Can we embrace all of that? Can we come back in and now find meaning, not just in the things that are meaningful things, quote unquote, or as we were talking about yesterday, and Danielle was talking about through the edges of things, where we're pushing beyond the envelope, pushing into new territory with all of the dopamine hits and all the adrenaline, all the excitement that goes along with those kinds of activities. Can we reclaim meaning even in just the quiet moments as well? And then start to realize, something we actually didn't touch on last night, but meaning is momentary. If you
Mhm.
really think about it, it's going to be experienced in the moment, in the connection of the moment. As soon as we try to bottle it, as soon as we try to put it inside our minds and carry it around, it just becomes semantics. It just becomes meaningless again.
Mhm.
It's like manna. It was only good at the moment that it was picked and eaten. You can't store it overnight. It's the same thing with meaning. Meaning is going to be momentary. We experience it in real time. It's the unfolding of the moment that is meaningful to us because then we're open to the connection that all of that implies.
Mhm.
So the moment, if when we get to the point that the moment is enough, then we can start to understand what this all means. And this
So,
is where I wanted to share a little clip with you. Let's
but
see.
I have a real quick question before we
You
get
can
started.
go while I'm doing the
Okay,
housework over
cool.
here.
So I think I know a seven, not super well, but like you guys all said last week, is they would never come to a meeting like this. So I don't understand if this person would ever even sit still enough to what do that third part where they roam inside the cage. Okay, so this person that I know, and I met her, and she like told me, and she's from LA, and she's this one that told me you can get to use the carpool lane, and it was years ago when it was two people were considered carpool. So she bought a life-size dummy and put it in her seat. And she's like driving around with this life-size dummy and like, so happy. Like, I'm so smart. I'm in the carpool lane because I've got this dummy. And I'm like, she like makes you laugh. When you're there, you just bust up laughing. She's not like genius, but like she's street smart, she's knowledgeable, she reads the New York Times, but she's not like Mensa or genius or anything. And
Mhm.
then, but she's funny. She's the life of the party, and she's got a funny sense of humor. And but like, okay, you can't share good news or bad news with her because she will take the good news and she'll use it against you. So for instance, okay, if you've got a good contractor at a good price and you're using them to remodel your bathroom, she'll steal that person from you before you're even done with your bathroom. And somehow she'll get that contractor to work on her project, on her, kitchen remodel. And then, she'll steal them. And then, like, she won't, like, even though you're close to her, she, you know, she can't help herself to steal your contractor and then screw you by your bathroom is now like instead of 3 months, 6 months. And so if you can't share good news or bad news because she somehow uses it against you for her benefit. And I'm like, it's like crazy. And then there's this other seven that I kind of know, and his idea is to buy a solution. So he's now has a permanent relationship with a frickin' psychologist or a Kaiser psychologist. She retired to live with him. Like, I don't see that he would ever do the work. I see that because he buys everything. He thinks he's king, money, he's very wealthy and stuff. And I'm like, you know, he's trying, but that's his idea of trying is being in a permanent relationship with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And so I'm like, do these people, I mean, not that anybody is unable to fix them, but is it more like the best we can do is we understand the seven, and then try to accommodate around him? Or is there really what would it take for the seven to kind of come to this class or read a book and get to this where we're talking to? I mean, that's my question.
Well, first of all, you seem to be moving past seven behavior in the characterization of these two people that you're giving us. They're just have somewhat unscrupulous ways about them, which goes beyond sevenness.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing is that no, you don't get someone to come to a class like this. You can invite them, but people will show up here when they're ready and not a moment before. You have to be ready to experience something, to learn something that is beyond what you already know. And most people are not ready to do that. There's a reason Jesus said that the way is narrow and the gate is constricted that leads to life, and few go by that way. He wasn't talking about heaven and hell. He was talking about this process of becoming, this process of being able to sell everything that's limiting you and to follow something that is radically different than what you ever expected. And you just have to be ready for that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the threes, the sevens and eights, they're mostly doers, right? Like they're very action oriented, make things happen kind of people. And it's like when I think of like contemplative types of leanings, like they don't naturally go there. And I would imagine it would take a tragedy of sorts to kind of slow them down, to bring them to that space.
What he said. Absolutely.
Yep, that's on point.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said.
Okay, so we've been talking about reclaiming meaning. We've been talking about allowing the moment to be enough. In terms of sevens, they're always looking for the next and the next and the next, and the moment is never enough, never really present to the moment. This clip arrested me from the first time that I saw it in the movie Jackie. It's the aftermath of the Kennedy assassination following Jackie Kennedy, and she is despondent. She wants to die. Her kids are the only thing that are keeping her alive in her despondency. And she has a series of scenes with a priest who is played by the great John Hurt. And the most poignant thing about this is John Hurt himself had cancer and chose to keep working. He was only weeks from his own death. This was his last performance. And as you listen to this clip, think about how much this must reflect what he was thinking about at this time, facing his own mortality. And what he says about meaning, what he says about the human condition, to me is just so profound. So let me share, and let me just play a second of it, and you tell me if the audio is good.
Why are you really here?
Yes,
Can you hear
good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Why are you really here?
Because I needed to talk.
You say that you pray every night to die, that your children have no use for you. You wish only to be with your husband. And yet, I'm not burying you today. There comes a time in man's search for meaning when one realizes that there are no answers. And when you come to that horrible, unavoidable realization, you accept it or you kill yourself. Or you simply stop searching. I have lived a blessed life. And yet every night when I climb into bed, turn off the lights, and stare into the dark, I wonder, is this all there is?
You wonder?
Every soul on this planet does. But then when morning comes, we all wake up and make a pot of coffee.
Why do we bother?
Because we do. You did this morning. You will again tomorrow. But God, in his infinite wisdom, has made sure it is just enough for us.
Hmm.
Does that hit you the same way it hits me? Or is it just me?
Just you.
Wow,
I
it
have no
does.
idea.
It's a great clip.
Now, he says some pretty profound things there, remember?
Mhm.
He's saying there comes a point in every person's search for meaning that you realize there are no answers. And when you come to that terrible realization, what do? Well, you either kill yourself or you stop or he says, what is it? You kill yourself or
Accept it.
accept it or you kill yourself, or you simply stop looking. And then he says, every night when I get into bed and turn out the lights, I wonder, is this all there is? Wow, you wonder? Every person on the planet does. And yet you just get up in the morning and make up the coffee. And God in his infinite wisdom makes sure it's just enough for us. This is the idea that meaning is momentary. There is no overarching valence that we put to it that's going to carry us through, 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years, whatever we got on this planet. We come to it every morning with the coffee. And if we can't live our moments as if they're enough for us, then how are we going to live? Right?
Hmm.
Manna. The manna that he gives us.
Yeah. It's a different way of approaching life. It's a different way of approaching meaning when you start looking at it as momentary. It changes it. It makes it more immediate,
Mhm.
and it makes it subject to your willingness to immerse in every moment that you live. It's your choice. I've often said kingdom is momentary because it's the same thing. Kingdom would be the experience of meaning in life, but it's momentary. Every moment you choose whether you're in kingdom or not. It doesn't come with confirmation or baptism.
Right.
It doesn't come with a conversion experience. It's just your choice this moment. Right now, this moment. You could be sitting here with us and immersed in the moment and enjoying the sense of fellowship even over electronics, or your mind could be a million miles away and thinking about something that makes you absolutely miserable. And there's no connection here whatsoever. But every moment is that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also thinking about, like, as you're describing this for the sevens, like this idea of, just living life fully,
Pretty.
trying everything and sampling everything, I think there's something there, right? You know, I think you can see how the greed and the gluttony can kind of, is gluttony their vice?
Yes.
Yeah. I can see how the gluttony can come into play there, but there's something to be said for somebody who just to try it all, and experience it all. And that can be meaningful in and of itself, right? In that kind of momentary expression of things.
In
There
fact,
is
you're,
is
you're, you're jumping on it, William, because there's nothing wrong with gluttony. There's nothing wrong with lust. It's what you're lusting after. And it's whether the gluttony is obsessive compulsive and puts you back in your mind. Are you gluttonous after an idea, or are you just completely immersed in the moment?
Right.
There's such it's the same sort of drive, but it's completely expressed in completely different ways.
And experience differently,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Can I
Dave,
wait, can I interrupt?
I'm sorry,
How do I-
Kathy. First, Kathy, I cut her off.
wait, how do I take this wheat field out of my screen? I mean, I don't
I
understand.
have control, Ellen. You can't
Oh,
take it
I-
away.
It's his
I
next
don't-
video. Oh,
But
I
it's
see.
really pretty, and I took pictures.
But I
It
can't see
doesn't
the
have, doesn't
others.
have
This
any
is
meaning,
the second
okay?
clip I'm going to play, so I'm leaving
Oh.
the screen shared for the moment.
It doesn't have any meaning, Ellen.
Would you rather I
Oh.
didn't? Would you rather I stop the share for a
Well, I
moment?
cannot see the others.
People are
She wants to see our
I see
faces.
a rabbit in there.
There's always one person
Can you
who's not
see me
happy.
now, Ellen?
I can see you. I can only see 4 people. Yeah.
There's always one person for whom the moment is not enough.
Oh, there it is.
You need to find some meaning, Ellen.
Here we are.
All right, Ellen?
Okay, Kathy.
No, I was just going to say it seems to me that the sevens they have this feeling of not wanting to be deprived. They don't want to miss anything
Miss out.
yeah, they don't want to miss out. And so we talked about this, I think, another night about insatiableness. And there is kind of an insatiableness, I think, about a seven. They're sort of FOMO, they're just fear of missing something.
Right.
And so they think, but that doesn't answer the question about whether one thing is meaningful over another. I think they just want all the options. They want it, like William said, they want to sample everything. Don't give me the top 3. I want all the options so I can choose. So, yeah, this is
Like walking into C's candy shop. I want to sample.
like a kid in a
all
candy store. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And think of what happens, like if you're in a ice cream place and you mix all the flavors together, you end up with just a lot of garbage.
The Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. I want to
I
test
want to
everyone out.
sample all of those little spoons. Yeah.
Hey, can I taste that one? Guys, look
so
at
I
this
have a
one
question.
later.
I'm not a 7, but that Jackie clip is like how I feel right now.
Mm.
And I don't have an answer. And I don't think I could live because like I came to Hawaii to be with my son, and everyone just says that like the whole process after my husband died was miraculous and how, courageous I was to move everything, to leave everything, to leave all my friends behind and to come here and start this new life. And I'm here and my son's busy. He loves me. But the estate planner that I'm working with to do a new trust, all 3 of them, because I had to figure out how to do the titling, they all 3 asked about, because my son had died, and came back to, he had a medical crisis. They said, well, what are you going to do if you're, because the old trust or the living trust that I have in California, everything goes to my son. And so these 3 attorneys, they said, well, have you thought about what are you going to do if your son dies? Or what are you going to do if your son is disabled? And I was listening on the phone because it was either a video or a Zoom. And I never even thought of that. And I'm stressing out so bad because I want to get the new trust in case, because I'm closing as, Jennifer, an unmarried woman. So I know I got to do this. I got to think about this. but I can't even think. I never thought of that. And like now I got to think of this, and I can't ask my son because he's preparing to have a second surgery. So I have to figure it all out on my own. And I'm like, the reality is if he dies before me, I don't want to live.
Mhm.
And
Well,
is that wrong?
Well, it's no, it's not wrong. It's just a testament to how much you love your son.
Yeah.
But there is life after grief. And this is what we're talking about. How do you reclaim meaning when the loss has struck you? And this is how we grow in life. This is everything about life. We don't grow during the good times. We grow through the times that are traumatic for us, the times that redefine what we think it means to be alive, and for the whole reason that we're here, and what life is really all about. Those moments of trauma and loss pull back the curtain and force us to do a reset. And so as difficult as it would be, as difficult as it was to lose your husband, you have regrouped, you've moved through that. And if you're willing, you can do it again. In this movie, Jackie, she doesn't want to go on. Everything has blown up. She still has her children, and that's the only thread that she's hanging on right now.
And that's what I feel like.
But that's what the priest is speaking to, and this was their last encounter through the movie. They have several connections together. This is the last one. And he says, he said, what's his opening line? You say you pray every night to die, but I'm not burying you today. He's burying her husband. And so she still has breath. She still has life. She still has a reason to keep going, because the next morning you wake up and you make up the coffee and you grab your children, you grab who is still around you. There is still life, there is still connection. And if we are willing to reconnect, then we will reclaim our meaning. We will remake meaning. We will see how there is a reason to keep going. You won't see it in advance, Jennifer, and you won't be able to articulate it through the trauma, any trauma. But if you're willing to keep breathing and stay connected, it will reinstate afterwards. You just have to trust that process,
When like 10 years ago, my boyfriend committed suicide, and I wanted to go right after him. I didn't want to be here. And it made all kinds of sense to me to follow him. And there were, looking back on it, there were many things that happened that helped me. I had a support group. I was smart enough, or God gave me the wisdom enough not to isolate, to get to every grief group I could find. Anybody that was doing a grief group, I was there. I looked like crap. I wasn't eating. I lost so much weight, it was ridiculous. My clothes were hanging. I had friends mention that I needed new clothes. I could have cared less. I showed up looking awful, and people didn't reject me at all. And but it was being around people. I know you're in Hawaii, away from your friends, but I guarantee there are support groups out there. There are grief groups out there. And it could be you still need to plug into some of those, because what's going on with your son may be still triggering some for your husband. But it's a very normal thing to want to go after them. But you need those voices.
And I feel even guilty of even grieving in front of my son, because he tells me, Mom, my dream career of being a fireman is gone. He's
Mm.
on light duty. And he says, he considers that not a job, that they're just babysitting because, they have a brotherhood. He says, I don't have the career I wanted anymore. He said, but I'm just happy to be alive. And then that makes me feel even more like shit because I don't, I want him to go back to full duty. And maybe if he gets this second surgery, maybe they'll be able to fix this problem, which 5 other cardiologists have not been able to diagnose. So I feel like, yeah, I don't know if that's a grief group that I'm like feeling guilty that I'm like, oh my gosh, my son's so humble. And I'm angry. I'm angry that my child doesn't he's not perfect anymore.
Maybe you can grieve that with him and give him the support of, well, if you can't have that, there's going to be something else in front of you that, we'll find. We don't have to go through that right now, but let's see what happens. You can be there as a support for him instead of feeling bad and being angry. Being there for him could actually help you.
Can I also share mine? And I didn't know this about Sharon. When my husband left, this was about 8.5 years ago, I was in such deep, deep depression and grief that I didn't want to live. Not that I wanted to kill myself actively, but I'd rather be dead. But it was like in the movie for Jackie Kennedy, I had to focus on my girls to keep me alive. I said, I cannot leave them that legacy where I killed myself and they are left motherless. So that sustained me. And like Sharon, I didn't know this existed. I went to so many support groups for 3 or 4 different churches, Fullerton Free, Eastside Anaheim, Calvary, so many. I went to peer counseling like for about 1.5 years. Healing Hearts, 12 steps, so many. Divorce care. Finally, it was setting in place. The first time I set foot on divorce care, that was the beginning of the acceptance because I resisted it for several years. And the leader of that group kept telling me, she was also the leader of my other group. She keeps saying, come, come, come. And I said, no, 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 this is not happening. This is not. So there was that resistance. It wasn't until I accepted my grief, I accepted my situation, then it started. And then Dave became my counselor and I found him. And from there, everything became better and better. I even remember it took 6 years. I remember the moment I laughed again. It took 6.5 years. Somebody made a joke at work and I laughed for the first time in 6.5 years. It took that long. And I'm still every now and then grieving, but it's a long process.
So to kind of come full circle and back to the material again, that moment that Ellen laughed was a moment when the moment was enough. You get that? When you really laugh, there's nothing else in your head. When you really laugh, the moment is complete. It's filled you up to the top. You're not thinking about what's missing. You're not thinking about what needs to be added. The moment is enough. But look how long it takes to get to that moment after a significant loss. Because now every moment is less than it's supposed to be because that person or that thing or whatever is no longer there. And it takes time for us to remake the meaning so we can simply come back to the moment and let it be enough. And that is the moment that you are completely free. When nothing needs to be added or taken away, your mind is not anywhere else except just on the fullness of what you're experiencing at the moment. That's what we're talking about. That's what contemplation is trying to show us. That's what this whole journey is trying to show us. each moment is perfect. Each moment is enough if we will allow it to be, if we will enter the moment fully.
Dave,
That's a lifelong process, right?
I can put some icing on the cake of what Sharon is saying, and to your point exactly. I remember, Sharon, I don't know if you do, but when that happened 10 years ago, and then several years went by, and you and I were, becoming more friendly and getting to know one another through that whole trauma. And I think it was about 3 years later, after, I don't know, one evening we were in a group and we came out and we were just chatting in the parking lot, and I think we were giggling and laughing. And Dave, I remember you walked up to us and said, you literally said, look at the two of you now. Look how far you have come from this tragedy that happened 3 or 4 years ago, or whatever it was. And I had to stop and think, like, oh yeah, we're giggling now. We're kind of laughing about something, but the pain is still there, but it just sort of goes in different places and gets tucked away, and then life starts coming back and you start doing normal things again. And then I started seeing what Dave was right. We were progressing. We were kind of growing through it. It wasn't easy, but we started to see the differences, I think.
Yeah,
I remember that exact moment, you two.
and yet during the event, you swear that you can't live or breathe and will never laugh again in the trauma. And yet the miracle is there is actually another side, and you do laugh again. And Kathy and I ended up with this amazing bond. Those of you who don't know, Kathy is my boyfriend's sister. And it was through Lenny's suicide that we became so bonded together. So, and Kathy joining our church and all of that was over that. So some weird blessings came from that.
Who would have thunk, huh?
Who would have thought? Yeah.
First time I met Kathy was sitting around a conference table with her entire family preparing the memorial service. That was the first time I met Kathy, and we've been banging around ever since, 10 years now. But notice, even that moment that they're talking about laughing in the parking lot, that was momentary. It was a momentary choice to laugh and to let it be enough. As Sharon said, as Ellen said, you have these moments and you realize I can laugh again. And then the next moment you're back down in the dark place, right? Until you make the next choice to let the moment be enough. And then suddenly you're there, full of meaning again.
And no pun
Human
intended.
condition, we oscillate back and forth, right? It's not a steady state. Go ahead,
I
Kathy.
was saying no pun intended, but we were actually pivoting. We were starting to pivot, I think.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Those are the hinge moments. Can I add one more thing for Jennifer? Please. Okay, Jennifer.
Okay.
I got married in Honolulu. And whenever my husband and I would go to Hawaii or Honolulu, we would climb Diamond Head. And I have not traveled for like 8 some years until my daughter and my sister and her family, they said, we want to go to Diamond Head. And of course, for me, I go with my daughter because I pay for it, whatever. Anyway, I could not. It was stressing me out so much to go to Honolulu. My friend said, but Ellen, go to Honolulu. Honolulu did nothing wrong to you. I had to jump that hurdle. I had to call Dave to help me get there. And it took several months. I got the ticket. I said, I have to go there. I have to face this. And I did. And when was it? Well, yeah, I did. I climbed Diamond Head and I will do it again and again. And to me, that was the victory. I can do this. My life goes on. But it took, so I'm talking about 8 years, 9 years now almost. it's still every now and then, just telling you this, it's making me cry. But the pain is still there, but it's not as intense.
So let me play the second clip. This is mostly for Kathy on her birthday because I described this clip last Sunday. She says, "Oh, I need to go back and watch the movie again so I can see that first scene." So, Kathy, this is for you. Happy birthday.
Okay.
But also, just the first minute of the movie Gladiator sets the character in without even a word, and see if you catch that. And I know Ellen wants to see the wheat field again, so this is for you.
I have it on my phone now.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
And let me just stop it there. We are 59 seconds into the movie. What do you know about this man? He's the general. This is the battlefield. He's looking out over a hellscape. The battle is coming. He's got to lead it. And yet we have this sequence.
Noticed the
I thought
bird.
that's when he died. He was going to die.
I'm sorry, George?
I thought that's when he was almost dead, right?
No.
Reflecting
This is
back.
the beginning of the movie.
The
He's
beginning.
doing fine, George. He's doing fine.
Well, because no, because this is the battlefield. This may be the day I die.
Yes. And what is his reaction?
He noticed the bird and smiled.
Yes. See, here's the thing. You are the general. You are responsible for this battle. Look at what it looks like out there. He's looking out over this, but he's remembering the fields of home, first of all. He's remembering the wheat fields. He's remembering his family. And then he's looking out over the battlefield. But when he catches sight of that bird, you see the transformation in his face.
Mhm.
He can still enter the moment of awe. He can still see the significance in the tiniest of things and be transformed by it. And then when he looks back over the battlefield, you see his face just harden over again, right? This
Yep.
is what we're talking about. Can you let the moment be enough for you? He's looking here. He hasn't been home in years while he's been on this campaign. He's feeling the loss of his family and everything that he holds dear. And yet in that moment, he sees that bird and he is completely immersed in that moment. And then he has to come back out to this moment. Now, watch a little bit more and see how he handles just the fellow soldiers that he commands.
Yeah. That's probably enough for our purposes.
But just watching him walk down, his ability to smile, his ability to look into the face of each soldier that he passes, to connect with them, you know, and he is just in the moment, you know. Yes, the battle's looming. Yes, he's responsible for all of this. And yet he can still connect with each one as he goes by. When I think of Jesus, and I think that this is the way I look at him, being able to just focus right on the person in front of him, you know, and almost like a shapeshifter when he goes to the next person, to be able to grok, to understand what they need, and then to be able to move into that space and the space after it. This is what it feels like to me, to be in the moment, to let each moment be enough for us, or even the changing conditions of a single moment as you pass through it. Most of us are so locked in, and often I am too, into what I'm thinking about or whatever I'm worried about or whatever feeling of loss I may have, that the moments are passing by and I'm unchanging. I'm just in that space and not reacting to what's actually in front of me. I wouldn't see the bird. I wouldn't see the soldier. And I think that's the difference. When we can move into the moment, we can let it be enough. It transforms us from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
When he saw the bird, his face became almost childlike, like he was a young boy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Is that a hummingbird that he saw? What bird was it?
Robin,
There could be a robin.
redbreast robin.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something that Brady had said to us in regard to mourning a couple of sessions back. And it was something along the lines of, you know, to go through the mourning process, we must fully grieve and feel the pain of the loss. And he either said we must accept or let go. So the idea is that we can grieve, but if we don't accept and keep living, we can get stuck in our grief.
Mm-hmm.
And if we skip the grief and try to just go to living, we short circuit the grief process. It pops back up on us later. So it's this balance, I think, between grieving fully and again, allowing myself to be present to my own experience, my own pain, my own loss, my own. I think Nina had said one time, grief is what happens when love no longer has a place to go. And I like that idea a lot of just allowing myself to feel my love in the form of grief and accepting so that I can complete the process essentially.
Mm-hmm. And if that's true, then the healing is when you allow your love to go to who's right in front of you and reconnect. And when you realize that's possible and you can do that, and the moment can be enough again, when you laugh again and suddenly realize, oh, I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think that sound would ever come out of me again. And there it is. And now you can recreate it. And the way you recreate it is by letting the moment be enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a quote on my computer that says, "The presence of love changes what cannot be changed into something that can be accepted."
Ooh, grasshopper. Yeah.
Can you say it again?
That's great, Becky. Say it again.
The presence of love changes what cannot be changed into something that can be accepted.
Oh.
Yes.
So these losses we're talking about, you know, the loss of Lenny, the loss of a marriage, the anticipatory grief that Jennifer is going through, you know, with her son, you know, if it's already occurred, it can't be changed. But what Becky is saying, that the presence of love, if you're willing to let your love flow again to whomever is in your path, it can be changed into something that can be accepted. Because you realize life continues. I can still connect. I can still love. It's still in me. It's still possible. But in the moment of the trauma, of the loss, you don't feel like it's there anymore. You feel like everything has been taken, but it hasn't been. Letting the moment be enough is the key to life. It's the secret of life, if you want to look at it that way. You know, it's momentarily allowing yourself to just feel that enoughness that God presents in every single moment that we live. So this was one big long bunny trail off of sevens. I realized that, but hopefully it sort of connects, and hopefully it was helpful. I hope it was helpful for you, Jennifer, because we can feel your pain. But if we just keep connecting, you know, allow this moment to fill us up, we can realize it's still in us. It's still possible. So, all right. Well, we didn't finish sevens, did we, Jennifer? So we got a lot of work to do next week. So hopefully we will finish sevens. I'll try not to bring any more movie clips, so it won't take quite so long off the beaten path. But those are two clips I just love, and hopefully you enjoyed them as well.
Well, I guess as we go into one, who I am, I feel guilty for even like taking all this time from the group. And then I'm like embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, this video is going to be posted out on the internet. So this is like a one diagnosis, like for when we get into there.
Jennifer's therapy session online forever.
You're just procrastinating getting to the one, Jennifer. That's all. You wanted to prolong it, right?
We saw through it. We saw it.
Well, on a lighter note, do you guys remember in the news, this was some years ago, when there's the carpool lane, it was a woman who's pregnant. Do you guys remember that? It was in the news. She says, no, but I'm
Claimed she had
pregnant.
two people in the car, kind of
Right,
thing.
because then you go to the thing, is this a person? The fetus is a person versus that. So
I don't remember.
right? Oh, yeah, I remember that, because now you go to that pro-choice, pro-life type of thing, right? But then the point is, the spirit of the law is, no, this is a carpool lane so that we carpool, people who are drivers. But then the other side of it says, well, no, I'm a soccer mom and I have all these kids, and we carpool with the other moms. It's my turn to drive. They're not drivers either. So you went through all these big.
So, Ellen, is there a point to this?
No, I want to end on a lighter note.
Oh, okay.
She should have put her dummy in the
Light.
car.
You won the
That
case.
should have been fine.
What happened? What happened, Ellen?
What a
What-
dummy for leaving the dummy out.
I was wondering if there was any way to turn this back into something that was relevant to the evening's material.
No.
But okay,
Good
that's
luck.
all right. That's all right. We can go with that.
So she'd get a ticket or she
The
wouldn't.
spirit of the law.
All right, Ellen,
Yeah,
finish the
letter
story.
of the
Did she
law
get a
is spirit
ticket
of
or
law.
did she get off?
No, she didn't win
Okay.
because it's not.
There you
It's
go.
not
What
a
about
person.
driving
It's not
with
a
the
driver.
kid? What about
Exactly.
driving with the
I
kid?
don't know. I didn't. I
Oh, if
don't
you're
know.
with a child, of course.
Right, I don't remember.
But they can't drive.
Yeah,
All right.
especially this. Right, the soccer mom says I have 5 girls with me, but these are the girls of different mothers too. It saves. What she's saying is, it saves cars from driving. Instead of 3 cars driving, it's 1 car.
Right, but how
that's
does
the
the
point.
kid help?
But
Okay, we're really getting off into this.
You tore the
Anyway,
one
Bunny
yourself.
I'm
trail.
gonna call it. I'm calling it. Scotty, save us.
Lord, thank you for your patience with us while we play silly games and learn a lot and have fun and sometimes grieve and cry together and share the experiences. And it's all worthwhile. It's what makes up our life. It's the tapestry of our life. And for those of us who've lost children and lost loved ones or parents or brothers or sisters, or we're all going to lose somebody, because there's a 100% chance we're all leaving planet Earth at some point in our lives. And because of that reality, when we keep that in mind, we learn to appreciate the time we have here, to find the joy in the journey that we're going through, to understand that as long as we choose to jump back into the game, so to speak, there's always something here for us to learn and grow through and have these experiences. And they're hard. Some of them are really hard. I can relate with the stories that were shared tonight. And I just feel bad for them, Lord. But I also know that from my personal experience, I grew through the process. And I was able to become more than I was before. I was able to become more useful in this planet, in my journey. And that's what brought joy, is understanding I still had meaning, I still had a reason to go on. And there were still people that I hadn't met yet that I'd someday meet and have great experiences with. And sometimes I'm going to have poor experiences with. Sometimes they're going to leave planet Earth before I'm ready for them to go. So with all that in mind, we've got so much here that we've got set up for us. Just keep us on track, Lord, and help us to find the joy in the journey and the meaning and purpose, and somehow share it with somebody else and encourage each other each and every day. We love you, Lord. It's in your precious and holy name, Lord Jesus, that we pray and we give thanks and say our amens. Amen.
Amen. All right. So your homework for this week
Yes.
and report next Wednesday is to monitor your moments. Try to come into the moment, see yourself in the moment. And if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like it's just not right, that there is no meaning, see if you can find something in the moment that'll make you smile or even make you laugh. See if you can find that small bird perched on the bush over there that draws you in and can make you laugh and transform that moment, and see if you can turn that around and let the moment be enough. See if you can do that, even just once. All right.
Good assignment.
All right.
All right.
See y'all. We don't know about Soak on Friday yet because we're still waiting on Vernon and what's happening with Valerie, but I'll let you know how that goes. And then Sunday, of course, we will be there. So hopefully we'll see some of you Friday and more of you on Sunday. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Coaches.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Hi, Jordana.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Jordana.
Bye. See ya.
Okay. Hopefully I will see you very soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.